Okay. So, you think you're lonely, my friend? Well, guess what? I was lonely too. All right, welcome to the channel where we're going to try and start discussing everything from early life to midlife to end life crises and help you figure it out and what's going on. If you think that just because you're not surrounded by a bunch of people, that's why you feel lonely, I would urge you to second guess that thought. Because have you ever considered, all right, how sometimes you could be in a room full of people and not only do you feel lonely, you feel isolated and you feel like nobody understands you. That is because of one big thing. Loneliness is a symptom of a mindset and the condition of your heart. And for us to figure that out, it's going to take us using a scary word called, and I know some of you are going to literally poo your pants when you hear this, it's called accountability. Accountability is very, very important in figuring out why you feel lonely. That's why you are in a classroom full of other kids and you feel lonely. That is why you are in a workspace and you feel lonely. That is why you go to church every Sunday and no matter what, you're surrounded by a group of people and you feel lonely. All right, let's break this down. Accountability for what exactly? You might say, Devin,
Devin, but why? Why do I need to be accountable? What will it do? How will accountability help me fix my loneliness?
well, I would tell you that accountability helps you start analyzing where it is your fault that the loneliness is coming from, okay? All right? You see, guys, I used to be a lonely person. Horribly lonely. Chronically. To the point that I had depression to where I thought the only cure would be painting my ceiling cranium crimson with lead metallic flake, right? Skull flake, right? Yeah, and you know why? That's because it was easier for me to accept the possibility of KMS than it was for me to say, maybe I have a problem I need to resolve. I have a problem I need to resolve, KMS. I have a problem I need to resolve, death. You know? And I think it's much easier to do that because if you think it is much harder to self-analyze and say, guys, you know what? The reason why I feel like nobody understands me is because, well, I'm not genuine. Because I'm being fake. And therefore, subconsciously, I know if I'm being fake, there's no way anybody can know me. Whoa, you can't know me if I'm being fake. And therefore, I'm going to feel like nobody knows me. Right? If I'm being fake, I'm going to feel isolated from people because I'm going to feel like they don't know me. No matter how hard I try and put myself out there and be myself, I'm always going to feel like the person next to me doesn't really know me because they don't. Right? Your loneliness is stemming from within. Your separation from other people is stemming within. Most people are going to accept you. No matter what. Most people, I mean, you got your crazies out there that are just like, if you don't identify with me, you need to be burned alive. Right? But that's not most people. Genuinely, it's not most people. And you got to acknowledge that, right? You got to acknowledge at a certain point you gotta have that realization that I'm doing this to myself. Nobody's isolating you. You're isolating yourself. I was putting myself on a bridge alone that nobody else could cross because, I was ready to. And why do we do that, guys? Because it's easier for us to accept that nobody likes us if we don't give them the chance to. Right? If we try to get people to like us and be our genuine selves and then they don't like us, then that hurts. Right? But if we're fake and we reject other people, then we can accept why we're lonely. We can accept the loneliness. We have a tough time accepting putting ourselves out there and being rejected. Accept rejection. Guys, accept the fact that you're going to get rejected and you'll be willing to take more chances in life. Simple. Simple. Well, it's not really that simple. It took me forever to figure it out, right? It took me many times thinking that the paint color of my truck would look a lot better with a light pole in the middle of it, working through those thoughts and realizing I need to open up. I need to learn to be comfortable. Here's another thing, right? Another reason why you don't think anybody can understand you or like you and you feel isolated is because you don't understand you and you don't like you. Oh, God. Oh, and you know you don't. Right? Sorry for speaking the truth, but you know you don't. Right? So therefore, you can't subconsciously register why. You can't accept somebody saying they love you and giving you that sense of community because you wouldn't give yourself that sense of community. You would, I don't know, you'd jump. You know what I mean? You'd jump if you had the chance. So if you would do that to you, how could anybody else love you? See, it starts with a journey of self-love, kids, gentlemen, ladies, aliens, whatever you are, lizard people that don't believe in you, but self-love. Once you start learning how to self-love, then you can understand when people love you, right? You understand there is value to you. There is value that you bring to the table, right? And this is where it falls back on taking accountability for what you're doing to yourself, realizing that you need a change, realizing that I got to work on myself, and then I can feel this inner peace. And now then you start to become another person, right? And then some other challenges arise as you start to figure out who you are that we'll address in part 2. And I think this is going to be a multi-part series because you know how when you start to discuss things with yourself, sometimes you figure more out. And I don't really want to put a limit to this, right? I don't know how long I've been talking, but let's use this for example. This is part 1 of fixing your loneliness. This is part 1 of fixing your loneliness, right? To be continued. My name is Devin Green. If you like the video, please subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'd appreciate it if you did. Let me know what you guys are going through. We'll try and work through stuff. If you identify with any of this, if you know that these are things you are struggling with, because I'm going to do a part 2 about what happens when you start to make the transition into, oh, I've discovered accountability and I've discovered I need to change. What happens then? All right? For you guys who are my regulars, I love y'all. See you in the lives, and also see you in the next video.